Good morning. Welcome back. Welcome back. How's everyone doing this morning? Hope everyone had a good weekend. Hope everyone's having a good morning. Welcome back to the live streams. Happy Monday. Happy Monday, Alex. Tired? Long weekend? Wake up. Time to wake up. Good morning from Estero. How's Estero looking today? It's the old, it's where I used to go to work. Estero, Florida. Knicks won, Rangers lost. And I was at the game. I felt it. I felt like that was going to happen. Oh well. It was fun. Good experience. Would have been nice if they won, of course. Morning, morning. Yeah, big earnings this week. Wait a little bit for some more people to jump in. Wait a few minutes. Philly's the same time. Philly's Eastern time. 8:02. Yeah, Coca-Cola reported earnings this morning, doing pretty well on earnings. So you got a lot of earnings this week. That's gonna be the big thing. All right. All right, let's get started. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome to a new week. Welcome to a new week of trading. This week is going to be primarily earnings, a little bit on the economic side, economic calendar, but major tech companies reporting earnings, and that's going to definitely be a market mover. So we've been in a channel for 2 weeks now. Is the earnings what we need, right? Is that the catalyst that we need to get us out of this channel, right? Do we need the earnings to decide the direction? Possibly, yes. That would be nice. I'd love that, to get some direction here. Today, we wake up and we are still in the same channel we've been talking about on this live stream every day for 2 weeks. So same channel, same everything. We have to continue to respect the demand, continue to respect the supply. It has continued to be the same way. There's a little bit of a lower high setting in on the market. Does that really mean much to me? With earnings approaching, not really, right? Technicals, you have to be a little bit cautious on the technicals this week. You can't say, I'm going to long this stock here, and let's say a Microsoft or a Google earnings will definitely influence the other tech names. So let's say you're trading Apple, right, and you're playing on a swing trade. You have to be careful swinging a tech name through Microsoft, through Google, through Meta earnings, right? Those earnings will influence the entire market, at least majority of the tech stocks. So we have to be a little careful on taking longer-term trades this week. This week, in my opinion, is focus on the short side, or focus on the short trades. Take what you can get and avoid, the big earnings moves. You can always play the continuation. That's something I, very much live by. I think it's something you should focus on this week. You can play the continuation move. You do not need to play the earnings move, right? Let everyone lose their money. YOLOing into earnings plays. Let them lose their money. And then the next day, play the continuation, whatever way it is, right? There's always going to be plays. You don't need to play the earnings play. So that's the first thing I would focus on this week. Still some technical levels to watch, which we'll prepare for today. And yeah, let's do it. So once again, guys, welcome back. Press the like button if you could. Subscribe to the channel. Let's do it. So today, futures economic earnings calendar. Let's go ahead and pull up the economic calendar. You guys can see right here, economic calendar. Today, nothing. So that's good, right? Good to see. You guys need to relax. Here you go. Natural mood supplement and relaxation enhancer. Relaxium Calm. That's the ad for today. And no, I do not make money if you buy that. So Monday, April 24th, that is today, none scheduled. So nothing on the economic side today. Tomorrow, home price index at 9 a.m. Not really market moving, in my opinion. Some minor news to watch out for. New home sales, consumer confidence. So tomorrow, some home data, and then consumer confidence at 10. Wednesday, durable goods, advanced retail inventories, advanced wholesale inventories, U.S. trade balance. Really nothing major there, but things to watch out for. That's in the pre-market tomorrow or on Wednesday. If we go to Thursday, GDP. That's probably the biggest one of the week. GDP and jobless claims. So Thursday, probably the biggest economic news to come out this week. That's GDP and jobless claims. And then Friday, finally, personal income, personal spending, PCE index, PCE year over year, and that's really just about all you have on the economic side. So pretty light. GDP on Thursday is probably the biggest one to watch out for. It's going to be mainly about earnings. So let's go ahead and pull up the earnings calendar now. That's really what everyone's sort of watching here. It's a big one. It is definitely a big one. It's definitely some big names out there this week. So let's zoom in. Here we go. So this morning, we had Coca-Cola, which reported positively. It's moving higher in the pre-market. Good for Coca-Cola, good for the dividend names. So watch out for that one. Really nothing that I'd focus on after hours today. First Republic Bank, FRC. I think is that FRC? I think it is. Is that the one that was? Yeah, so FRC, the stock that came down with all the regional banks, reporting earnings today. So that's interesting. I guess that could be a fun one to watch. Nothing that I would trade, but maybe fun to watch. Tomorrow, Verizon, UPS, GM, McDonald's, 3M, GE, Pepsi, Spotify, Raytheon. So some pretty big ones there, right? Mostly on the Dow side, right? Verizon, or not Dow, but mostly on more of the conservative side of things. The safety names, Verizon, UPS, McDonald's, GM, 3M, GE. So yeah, definitely some Dow names. 3M, a big Dow name. GE, UPS, Verizon. So some big ones there. Raytheon, interesting down there as well. So definitely, definitely a pretty major start to tomorrow. And it doesn't slow down after tomorrow morning because the tomorrow afternoon is pretty major for the tech side. Microsoft and Alphabet kicking off the big tech names. So Microsoft and Google, big ones there. Definitely market moving, right? If you are trading a tech name through Microsoft and Alphabet earnings, you have to expect to see the market move and to see your stock get influenced, right? Apple will be influenced here. Amazon will be influenced here. Nvidia will be influenced here. Just simply because of however the NASDAQ moves off of Microsoft and Alphabet. Enphase, Visa, Chipotle, Texas Instruments. Wednesday, Boeing, big one there. You got some other, medium-sized ones down here. Meta, that's major on Wednesday. Meta was the name that caused a lot of weakness on the market a few earnings back. So Meta's definitely influential here. Roku. Kathy Wood's favorite stock, Teladoc, for whatever reason. American Airlines, Caterpillar, Eli Lilly, Valero, Southwest, MasterCard, Altria, AbbVie, Merck. So big one for the healthcare here. Altria, AbbVie, Merck. Some big healthcare names right there on Thursday before open. Amazon, Intel, Snap, Pinterest, some smaller ones there, except Amazon. And then here's your energy. Friday is the energy day. You got Valero and then Exxon and Chevron on Friday. So some energy names reporting there on Friday. So pretty packed. So prepare for it. The best thing I can tell you about this earnings calendar is do not trade the earnings plays. That's the best thing I could give you, right? That's my greatest piece of advice. Don't come into this week and open your eyes opened wide and get excited about guessing which way the stock's going earnings. You do that, you're losing your money. All right, so let's just watch what they do, play the continuation, come into the week like every other week, just understand there's earnings, be cash by end of day, let the earnings play out, play the continuation. That's how I like to play it. That's how I would recommend. Tesla 163, something to watch today. Nvidia 269, a big one as well. Meta with some juice this morning. Meta's up pretty nicely this morning. And setting up a pretty interesting setup this morning. A nice little flag potential and a strong demand hold. So watching this Meta move this morning. Amazon, really strong move on Friday. Killed that stock on Friday with the group. That was sick. Probably one of the cleaner trades that I've taken, this month, maybe even this year. That was a really, really clean setup on Amazon. So I'm definitely going to watch this one again. Google setting up an interesting flag. There is earnings tomorrow, so you have to be a little bit cautious. We'll check out what the IV is, right? You always want to see, as you approach earnings, watch out for the IV of the contracts you're trading, the implied volatility. If that implied volatility is higher, you might want to think twice before trading it, right? So be careful on high IV environments. Buying options in high IV environments is typically not the best move, right? Selling options during high IV is typically the better move. So be a little bit careful trading, buying and selling, not selling to open, buying to open and selling, or let me start over here. Buying to open calls and buying to open puts. Be careful on the buy side of options if the IV is high, all right? So be careful of that. Selling to open typically is the better move in high IV environments. Amazon, we talked about that. Google, Home Depot 300. So Home Depot 300, a big one, big break over 300 on Friday. It's sort of maintaining 300, so something I am interested in watching. And then finally, we'll watch Apple at 164, a key hold this morning as well. So that's the schedule I have. I think some pretty interesting setups this morning, actually. But again, we have to keep in the back of our mind, right? In the back of our mind, just being cautious of that earnings and being cautious of the implied volatility on the option contracts that we are buying, all right? So let's get started with the futures. Let's get our day started. Here we go. Here's the hourly chart on the NASDAQ, and you guys know it's just been quite ridiculous, the move that we've seen. I mean, this is your market right now. This is your market for pretty much almost 3 weeks now. This has been your market. It's been supply rejections and demand holds the entire time. So a little bit of a change, right? A little bit of a change here on Friday. You guys can see we sort of created a lower high here, and we started to reject this 13,100 level. We couldn't move, in this case, we could not move from demand, right, which is down here at 13K, to supply. We have not gotten that demand to supply move yet into 13.2. So a little bit of weakness to watch out for today, right? We have not gotten that push back into 13.2, whereas previously we got those pushes, right? 13 to 13.2, 13 to 13.2, 13 to 13.2. Over here, we maintained 13.1, right? We sort of created a higher channel, 13.1 to 13.2, 13.1 to 13.2, 13.1 to 13.2. But now we are stuck between 13 and 13.1. So you can see a little bit of a flip here, right? Previous lows into rejections. This is something to pay attention to today. So if we zoom into the 30-minute, we can see on the NASDAQ, we have previous lows, previous lows, previous lows at 13,100. Those previous lows on Thursday turned into rejections, and on Friday of last week turned into a rejection. So 13.1 is the level to watch this morning. So if we go down to the 15-minute, we can see this morning we're already seeing a little bit of a rejection here around this 13.90 to 13.1 supply. So today you have to be very cautious. If we open up here this morning, right, if the market opens and we are trading right here, what do you have to be careful of? You have to be careful of upside into this rejection point. So if we open up the market, up here today, I am not going to be very interested in upside unless we get a very strong break and hold above 13.1. That could set up your move into 13.2, right? We need to see 13.1 turn from a rejection point into a new support. That would be your upside setup. If you can see that 13.1 really hold on, then maybe you can get that push into 13.2. But if we stay under 13.90, 13.1 today, right, I would assume you could probably just trade within this range again. So watch for the 13.1 rejections on the NASDAQ and watch for the 13,000 demand. If you catch a downside trade today, right, if you catch a downside trade today at 13.90 and you hold it, right, into 13,000, you have to be a profit taker here. Right? If you buy puts today and you just say, I'm going to hold these and I don't care about this demand below, right? You are exposing yourself to that demand hold to come in once again. So if you do take a short side play today off 13,000, I would be a profit taker, right, on the way down, right? Take your profits on the way down. Little bit off here, a little bit off here, a little bit off here. So you make sure that you are not going to get stuck in a demand hold of 13,000 again. So you have to make sure you understand the range that you're trading in, right? We can't just hope and pray that demand breaks down today if we get a short side play. We have to understand that demand is there. We have to understand that could hold once again. So I would say watch for 13.1, 13.90 supply rejections today. Look for 13,000 demand. It's the same thing that happened yesterday or on Friday, right? We just moved from 13 to 13.1. So we're looking at the same exact thing today. The upside play, right, if there is a strong move today, you're going to see probably a break and hold above 13.1. If that's really the strong move, right, then you're going to see a break and hold above maybe Friday's highs. Maybe you even put a line up here around this 13.120 just to really watch out for those Friday highs, right? So you're going to want to see if this 13.100 area turns into support. That could potentially set up your move to the upside. But until then, you are watching out for supply rejections at 13.100 today. All right. Let's go to the ES, right? The ES is pretty textbook as well. So if we go to the 4 hour, actually go 1 hour, here's the 1 hour chart on the ES. And we can see, right, the 4140 demand held again, right? It held again here in the pre-market pretty aggressively too. We talked about this last week, right? 4140, right? We talked about this 4140 consolidation, 4140 on Thursday, and look at the 4140 on Friday. So we know demand is definitely stepping up in 4140s. Now the upside is rejecting at 4160s, 4155, 4160. So we can see we had some previous lows here. It's not perfect, but we had a general low in this area, which have now turned into some very clear rejections around this 4160 level. So on the upside, right, if we start to trade to the upside today, be careful of getting into this. This is actually where we're trading right now is actually prime for a little bull trap, right? This could be a nice prime bull trap this morning. If we sort of trade here and then market opens, right? Let's say market opens right, where's my time tool? Right here. Let's just say market opens, right? This is market open, the red line, right? Let's say, all right, market opens. We get a big pop, right? Everyone starts to chase calls here, chasing calls. I'm long. I'm chasing into supply because I have no idea what I'm doing. And then, right, you get that 4160 Friday high rejection, right? That could be a prime little bull trap this morning at 4160. So be careful up here, right? This is very, very apparent. You need to pay attention to this. You can see we have 4160 rejections Friday morning. We had 4160 rejections Friday afternoon. And we had 4160 rejections Friday close. We had a triple top here around 4158, 4160 on the ES. So we cannot long if the ES is sitting under 4160. You could try to go long, right? You could try to go long from 4152 to 4160. You could try to capture 8 points here, but you have to make sure you are disciplined enough to understand that this could be a nasty rejection at 4160 again. So watch out for that. All right, 4160, that is your upside supply to monitor this morning. Now you can see, right, the downside demand held very strong, 4140, very strong, right? Triple bottom here Thursday, bottom here Friday, and you can see in the pre-market today, very, very strong bottom at 4140 on the ES. So same exact thing applies. If you get a really strong aggressive downside move this morning and you start to enter puts here, right, you are going to expose yourself to another demand hold and something that you do not want to be stuck in. So 4140, 4160, that's your 20-point range to watch today. Be careful trading within it. Understand your, right, stick to the rules. Supply rejections, demand holds. The only time you change that mindset is when you get a break and hold of either side, right? If you can get a break and hold of 4160, right, then you can look for that upside continuation. The triple bottom and the 20 SMA means nothing, right? It does not mean anything. That does not mean anything until the market proves to you that it wants to break out of supply, right? Just because we're holding a 20 SMA and just because we're holding this triple bottom demand does not mean that we long into a supply level, right? You don't say, yep, I'm long because we're holding a triple bottom and I don't care about Friday's rejections, right? That does not make sense. We have to, especially in the market that we're seeing here, where we're literally trading in a channel, we cannot be long off of a demand, right, that is already extended. If you noticed that on Friday, right, and you went long at 4140 and you went long here, right, then sure, risk reward makes sense. But now that we're higher in the pre-market, we cannot come into the day and start too long at a 4160 rejection point. If we want to look for upside, right, we need to see a break. We need to see a strong hold above 4160, and then maybe you can set up that move back into like the 4187s here, right? A move back into this supply. But that is not until you get a strong hold above 4160 supply. If you long into this level, you are exposing yourself to exactly what happened on Friday, right? You're exposing yourself to that rejection. So 4160, 4140, it's the same thing every single day. Just watch the supply, watch the demand, respect them, and try to set up your trades off them. SPY. So the SPY, right? Really the levels seem to be, we talked about 410. So we'll go to this 30-minute chart. All right, you guys can see that 410 demand. We are not shorting into 410. All right, if you short into 410, you can see you lost, and you lost. All right, we're not going to short into 410. or when I say we're not going to short into 410, what I mean by that is we're not going to short if the market is, let's say, like down here, right? We're not going to short as the market starts to approach 410. The risk reward is inversed, right? We're not going to start setting up shorts when the market starts trading into 410. That does not make sense, right? So we need to watch out for 410 demand. And on the upside, right, we are watching, I think, this 412.50 and then 413. I really don't like upside on the SPY at all until probably a 413 hold, right? If you do get 412 breaks, you have to be careful. It's only about 50 cents until these previous lows, right? 413, 413, 413. So I really don't love the upside on the SPY, even if we get above Friday's highs, because you still have that 413 there. You probably want to get above 413 before any type of upside continuation. But on the 15-minute chart, you guys can see, here's the SPY. You're coming into Friday's highs. That is your supply at 412.50, right? And then your demand down at 410. Very distinct range. You guys can see it very clearly. That is where we are trading in still on the SPY. 410 triple bottom, and right now, Friday high rejections at 412.50. QQQ, I know you guys like to look at this too. Very clear demand around 315, right? And then very clear supply around 317. So 2-point range, 317, 315. You look for supply rejections, you look for demand holds, or you look for break and retests. That's all you're looking for in this market. You're looking for supply rejections, you're looking for demand holds, or you're looking for break and retests for, right, breaks of the channel. That's really all you're looking for in this market. All right. Dow Jones. So it looks like it's rejecting that Friday high level right now as we speak, actually. Let's see. Yeah, so look at this on the Dow. This is a pretty interesting flip on the Dow. You guys can see, right? Look at this triple bottom or even this quadruple bottom here around this 33,900, 33,920 area. See, support, 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 right? That demand held nicely. Now you can see these rejections. You could probably put a line up here around this 33,975. You can see the rejections on Thursday. You can see the rejections on Friday. So this is a very clear, right? This is what happens on the market, right? This is very clear. You can see the clear flip, right? From support to rejections, right? You can very clearly see how this is like a stair step, right? This is a stair step lower, right? If you were to create a stair step, right? That's a stair step lower. And now you are turning the previous lows into rejection points. So that is very key to pay attention to. When I see something like this, the only way to get confirmation of more upside is a very clear, right? If we break back above that stair, that is why I trade the break and retest, because it makes it quite easy. We are turning previous support into rejections. Now, if you think about it logically, the only way to get upside continuation is to turn these rejections back into support. That's around this 33,975, 34,000. So watch that on the Dow. Very clear rejections up here. Demand down here around 33,800. Just pretty much a channel for the last 2 days, right, guys? Very clear. Channel, same levels both Thursday and Friday. Watch Thursday, Friday highs. Watch Thursday, Friday lows, right? Vicente Guzman. Buenos días. Gracias, Vicente. All right. Russell. 30-minute. I mean, absolute shit show. To be quite honest, absolute shit show. I have absolutely nothing to give you here. I mean, it's just a disaster. It's just rejections of around 1,800, demand around 1,790. I'm not going to pretend like this is a chart that you should trade, right? This is a disaster. This is just stay away. I mean, what's the point? Seriously, what's the point? What's the point of trying to trade in a 10-point range on the Russell? What's the point of trying to trade small caps when the Russell is completely sideways? It's just it's something to stay away from. That's my honest opinion. I don't even like looking at it. So let's continue. Tesla. Let's get started with good old Tesla. All right. So Tesla, you can see its resiliency here. Now, there's a difference between resiliency and an actual willingness to move higher, right? You have to make sure you understand that. You have to be able to, understand both sides. Yes, Tesla is holding 163 demand, but it has not shown any strength. So just because 163 is holding does not mean that we start to go long here, right? Just because the demand level is holding does not mean that we're going to start to long this move on Tesla. It is very apparent, the weakness in Tesla. You can visibly see the selling that goes on intraday, right? Even like any pop just gets instantly sold into. That has been the sort of the theme for the last 2 days. So yes, this 163 demand is holding, but be careful of trying to look for upside because this thing has not shown you anything of strength, right? You can see this morning we moved lower again back into demand, quickly got bought up above demand. So basically what I would take away from this chart is don't short into 163, right? That would be a very apparent thing, right? We're not going to try to short into 163 because we can see the demand that keeps stepping up. But we're also not going to long here because we clearly are not seeing any strength yet. I think if Tesla can break above 166, I think maybe some momentum can jump into that 169, right? That would really be the move that you're looking for. So 166 is very clear supply. If you can get above 166, then maybe you have 169. If you get above 169, then that's probably where that dip buy starts to heat up, right? If you can actually get above 169, then maybe that's your dip buy, right? Maybe that's where things can actually start to heat up here and gain some momentum. But it's not until that, right? And that's a pretty tall ask for Tesla right now. So 163 demand, and we know where that demand comes from. That demand comes from a pretty major 4-hour hold, right? Is that the 200 SMA too? No, it's not the 200. I think there is an SMA down here though, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see. Oh no, there's not. Okay, so no SMA down there. So yeah, just a key 4-hour demand hold, right? You can see 163 4-hour, 163 4-hour. You can see we're trying to hold that 163. If this 163 gives up, then I'm really liking this opportunity, right? You can see right here. If 163 gives up, there is definitely some juice here on Tesla below it, right? So I will watch that downside play. But the only way I think I start to get interested in that downside play is if we get a very, very clear move under 163 and a very clear hold below 163. All right, if we start doing this, if we close below 163, right, then I'll start to get interested. But it's not until then that I would try to take that short. So watch 163 today. That's going to be very key. All right, Nvidia. So Nvidia has shown some weakness recently after being, let's zoom out though for a second because just because it's shown some relative weakness in the short term, we have to make sure we understand the whole picture because Nvidia is still very high, very strong in the long term over the last year or the last beginning of this year to date. It's been very strong and it still has not broken any key levels of demand, right? Yes, Nvidia has shown some weakness off these highs, but this is really your line in the sand for Nvidia, 263. If we hold above 263 on Nvidia, you cannot get too aggressive on the short side here, right? This is still very much a channel. It is still maintaining the major demand down here around 263. So you have to be careful. These could just be little pullbacks within a channel. You can see this was just a pullback into demand for another upside push, pull back into the channel for another upside push, pull back into the channel low for another upside push. So this could be the same, right? We can't get too aggressive thinking that, oh, here we go. Nvidia's about to die off. I'm about to make $20,000. I'm going to foresee the future. I'm going to start shorting the shit out of Nvidia just because I think that it's going to break down. No, right? No. You are still holding technically above a very major demand. And if you short up here with too much aggression, right, you are exposing yourself to these demand bounces. They are still very much alive. So be careful here around 263. That is very clearly a demand hold. So that's when you have to make sure you're zooming out and getting the whole picture. So 263 is really the major level to watch. Now, on the short term, we are holding right? 269. You can see this previous high here, and you can see the demand that's stepping in here from Friday. So 269 is the level to watch this morning. 269. If we break under that, if we turn that into rejections, then maybe you can get your 263 move, right? Maybe you can get your 263 move if you turn that 269 level back into rejections if you lose Friday's lows. If you maintain this 269, Friday's lows, and these previous highs here, you have to be cautious on the short side, right? You can still maintain this low, and you can still trade in this channel. So 269 to 272. 272 are these previous lows that are becoming rejection points, right? So 272 to 269, that's your tight range this morning. Watch to see a break of either side or look to see demand and supply holds of those levels. Meta. Meta's got some juice this morning. Do we trust it? That's the question. But it is an interesting little setup here, right? So you guys can see right here. 210, right? 210, 210, 210, right? Very clear. Demand, 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 right? 210. So you want to watch out for that 210. That's very clear. That is your meta demand that has stepped up here, here, and here. Now, above 210, we have 212.50. You guys can see right here. Demand, demand, and demand. 212.50. It has also held right here, 212.50. And so this morning, right? This morning, 212.50 is holding as a demand this morning, right? If we go to the 5-minute chart, you guys can see this morning we held above 212.50 and we got a little push off of it. So 212.50 is the level to watch. So if we maintain above 212.50, you could look to see if this little downtrend breaks. This could be interesting on Meta. Now, this is obviously going to require a strong NASDAQ market and, some continuation on this move. Not sure you're going to get that this week, but, right, you could watch this 212.50 demand. If Meta can have some continuation through this downtrend, then maybe we see that 212.50 move, and maybe we try to test that upside supply again, right up here, right? 217. Now, of course, you have Meta earnings on Wednesday, I believe, so you got to be careful of that. Maybe there's a little move before that, but just be cautious. I am interested in this. I am watching this. This is an interesting potential trend break, but we need to hold 212.50, and we clearly need to hold 210. Upside supply really comes in around 217, so could be an interesting move here today. Watching that today. Meta off 212.50. All right, Amazon. So Amazon, I mean, you just can't ask for a better break and retest of previous highs. You just can't. And this is like the exact setup that I talk about in my YouTube videos. I've talked about this break and retest of the previous day highs, break and retest of the previous day lows. Those are my favorite trades because a break and retest of the previous day high or low is a break and retest of an extreme level, right? So if you break the previous day high, you turn the previous day high into a support, there is no better level in my eyes to play along off of. Now, same thing on the flip side. If you break below previous day low and turn the previous day low into a rejection point, there is no better level to play downside off of, right? It sets up a good risk to reward. This is exactly what we did on Friday. This is a fantastic example. Previous high, right? Previous high. And look at this pullback on Friday, right? Look at this beautiful, beautiful pullback. We squeeze in the morning, right? We get all the people that think they can just buy calls at open, right? All the chasers, right? Buying calls at open, not waiting for the retest. The ones that have no strategy, right? No idea of what they're trading. They're just buying calls at open because they're getting rich. Buying calls at open after an upside move in the pre-market. Nice pullback, right? Getting them all out of their positions, right? This is a fantastic example. And I've been here before, right? I've been here before. And I'm not saying this like I've never done this before. I'm saying this because I've done it before and I've learned better, right? I've learned the better way to trade. I've done this before. I've gone long in the morning because the pre-market's up, just thinking that there's going to be continuation, not waiting for the retest. This is where, right, if you think about this move psychologically, right, this is the psychology of this move. You have everyone that longs this thing at open. They get stopped. They get stopped. They get stopped out, stopped out, stopped out, stopped out, stopped out. They're like, oh my God, I just bought this thing at open. I'm down 40% already on calls, right? I'm taking my losses here. And little do they know, right? Little do they know, because they're not focusing on a strategy. Little do they know that I am just sitting here waiting for them to stop out at the retest. And that is actually the best long entry to possibly get in at, right? This is the best long entry of the day, right? So, right, this is all people stopping out of early morning calls. You get long here, you wait for that retest to hold, and then bam, man. Just an awesome example of why you wait for the retest, the psychology behind it. It's beautiful. It really is. So, previous high, break, retest, huge demand hold, and a gorgeous upside trade. Just awesome. So congrats if you guys caught this one on Friday. This was a textbook trade, straight from the break and retest textbook. Today, this is interesting, right? This is sort of interesting. Look what Amazon's doing this morning. This is the pre-market high, pretty much the morning high on Friday. And you can see that it is holding that morning high around that 106.50 level. So Amazon's still sort of doing break and retest holds. This is also, right, look where Amazon held Friday at close. Amazon held the morning high, right, the pre-market high. Amazon held that into close on Friday. So this is sort of interesting. Watching this 106.75, 106.60 area, seeing if that holds on. That is also, right, the 200 SMA. So you can see right here, this is also the 200 SMA on Amazon. So Amazon's trying to maintain pre-market highs, right, from Friday close, and the 200 SMA. It is trying to maintain this level. If it does, there could be some more juice here. So I would watch. Just be cautious of 108 supply, all right, that's very clear, and be cautious of 106.75 demand, 200 SMA. So there's your channel on Amazon today. I would look for maybe a break and retest of previous day high, maybe for more upside, or I would look for a demand hold of this level here, 106.75, 106.50s, right? Or you could even, right, if Amazon does get weak, you could look for the break and retest to the downside. But those are the levels I'd watch. Friday was an awesome trade. Congratulations on that one, guys. Perfect example of a break and retest of previous day highs. This is sort of interesting on Google. I am sort of intrigued by this. Here's Google on the hourly chart. Intriguing. Not sure it's going to set up, especially with earnings coming, right? Earnings are tomorrow, I believe, right? Tomorrow after close, you have Google earnings. So I'm not sure this is going to set up, the right way, the way I'd like it to. But this is an interesting little, I guess you could call this a W pattern, inverse head and shoulder, whatever you want to call it. This is definitely a little bottoming formation, right? This is a previous low. You can call this the head. It's a little bit of a double bottom, but that is really your inverse head and shoulder right here. So this is an interesting little bottoming formation on Google that I am watching. Now, you can see this time around, you had, right, on the upside, you have the bear flag, right? That's the bear flag, right? And then on the downside, you have the bull flag, right? So bear flag to the inverse head and shoulder, upside, little bull flag. I guess some people would call this a cup and handle, whatever you want to call it. This is definitely a clear bottoming formation. Now, the only thing in the way is obviously earnings, right? Earnings could invalidate everything and shoot this thing down to 100 in an instant, right? That is not something that I am going to say holds up into earnings. But as of right now, as the technical stand right now, this is an interesting hold of this 105 level. This is also an interesting hold of the previous highs. So you can see right here on the 30-minute, you're really maintaining this previous high. So you have this previous high around this 105.50, and you can see we're really maintaining this zone. So if Google gets any kind of upside today, if we do get a little neckline break, which is a 107 break, I think you could get some continuation here. It would definitely be a trade that I would watch today. So I'm going to see, does Google get some juice into 107? And if Google breaks and holds above 107, it's a nice setup, right? A setup I would take. It's a setup that I would accept risk on. That's really what it's all about, right? I like it. I did my analysis. I understand what I'm looking at. I know there's demand here. I understand that if we get a break and retest above 107, that I'm targeting this downside move, right? I know I'm targeting this really aggressive downside move, probably a low volume area. And I know that if I get a break and retest of 107, I'm going to put risk on the table. I'm going to accept my risk. And if I'm wrong, I had a trade plan. I had a stop loss. I knew what I was executing on. I walk away with a loss. And I know that if I look for something, the similar setup again, it will most likely, right, the risk reward will make me come out profitable. This is a good risk reward potential over 107. If it's wrong, I move on, right? That's part of trading. But at least I have my plan. I have an idea of what I'm looking for, right? So I'm going to look to see, does Google sort of break this bull flag? Does it get above 107? And do we target maybe this move into 108s? So definitely something to watch on Google. Let's see. That could happen on earnings, right? It could be the move that happens on earnings and we just miss it. Very possible. All right. Home Depot. Yeah, sort of breaking back below 300. This is a huge level on Home Depot. And the 200 SMA is just sort of sitting there as well. So a little bit, I might even say you move this up to 302, even though 300 is the level. But just to be safe and not be faked out, maybe you move that into 302. Because 300 is really where this supply steps in, right? It's right around here. It's a very clear 300 flat level. But that 200 SMA is really, really acting as a rejection point. You can clearly see this on the 5-minute chart, right? Look at this 5-minute chart, 200 SMA rejection. So it's interesting. Now, the reason it is interesting is because you can see Home Depot, there's a really low volume area here between 300 and 310, maybe even up to 313, right? It's a very interesting target to look for here. If I go to the 4-hour chart, you can see just a straight down move on the last earnings. If we can get above that 302, that 200 SMA, it would be an interesting spike through this low volume area into 310. But that 200 SMA is not giving up yet. So if the market is weak, right? If the market is weak, you could look at this as both things. You could also look at this as a really nice potential supply rejection of 300, 302 and a little break of this uptrend, right? This could be, you could look at this both sides. So if Home Depot does not get above 302, if Home Depot continues to reject the 200, this could be a nice little downside play, right, to break this uptrend. If Home Depot breaks above the 200, holds above the 200, you could get that quick move into that 310. So definitely a key level that Home Depot is trading at, and that's why I continue to watch it, because I know there will be opportunity off this level at some point here. All right, last one I got for you today is Apple. We'll go over a few more, but this is one of the ones I wanted to point out. Hourly chart on Apple. I wanted to just point out this whole range because Apple is, I think it's pretty tired up here. It looks like it is holding demand, but this whole 165 to 166 area, guys, I would be careful in here, right? This is some pretty major rejections back here. This is some pretty major rejections in here. Some pretty major demand holds previously that we have broken back below. And if we look at Friday's price action, right, look at this price action at 165 on Friday. Just a completely dead name on Friday. So, yeah, I just wanted to sort of point out the caution. I would be very cautious looking long on Apple if between this 165, 166. This is very clearly a heavy zone for Apple. You really need to see this thing back above 166 before you can look for upside. I would look for the supply rejections to continue to set in around 165 to 166, right? So 164, right, that's your demand. You can see that demand continues to hold. You can see that demand continues to hold, so be careful between 165 and 164. I really still want to target this 164 break and retest. This is really what I really want to look for, right? That's really the trade setup that I could see setting up here. You can see a really nice sort of topping formation, sort of slowing down up here. If we can get below this demand around 164, right, I would really like to target that. So watching that 164 level, if we can turn these lows into a rejection point here, that could be a nice little break and retest for some downside into this, low volume area here on Apple. All right. Let's go over, what did we not do? We didn't do AMD. We'll go over AMD, Netflix. Yeah, last line of support here on AMD. This is fourth and one, fourth and inches here at 88. 88 is going to be a major level here on AMD. If AMD loses 88, I think this thing could break down in a weak market. So really, this 88 to 89 level has been what I've been watching for demand. It's held here on Monday. It held here on Tuesday. It held here on Wednesday. It held here on Thursday, right? And so here we are again. This is Friday, and you can see we're just sitting in this demand. So if AMD breaks under 88, this could get a little interesting to the downside, right? Watch out for that. That could be an interesting downside break. But you really need to see that happen before you can look short AMD here. This is a pretty important level here for AMD. If we go to the 4-hour once again, 4-hour chart, you can see this is previous highs here, and we are trading right at it this morning. So interesting to watch. Yeah, Jalen Hurts needs, or AMD needs Jalen Hurts. That's right. We'll go over Netflix here because it has been sort of intriguing. The way I think about Netflix, at least for right now, is I still think there's a lot of underwater shorts here from earnings. So I'm definitely interested to see if there is a squeeze back to the upside on Netflix, because I'm sure there are a lot of shorts that were sort of taking this on earnings, right? Sort of playing the earnings move. Because Netflix did sort of maintain down here for quite some time. So I'm sure there's a lot of underwater shorts on Netflix still. Maybe they cleared out on this push. Maybe they cleared out on this push. But you can see that demand is still very much holding at 319. So 319 demand has held pretty interesting, especially on Friday, a pretty nice move off that 319, right? You can see 319, and a wick hold of 319 on Friday. I think you're probably going to need a move over 331, 330 before anything real happens here. You can see this previous high right here. This is 331. Really 331.50. And then this high right here, 331.50. So if you do get a little Netflix break and hold above previous double top, that could amount to something. That could definitely amount to something. That is something I will be watching. This 331.50, this 331.50. If we turn that double top into a new demand hold, that could be an interesting little upside move into the 337s. Something I will watch on Netflix. And it has to maintain, right? Netflix has to clearly maintain 325. Now, why is that, right? Why do we need to maintain 325? You can see previous rejections. You can see previous demand here. You can see these pre-market rejections. And you can see the Friday morning rejection, right, at 325.50. So if we do break down this morning, we have to hold this 325.50 and turn that into a new demand level. If you break back below this, right, that momentum gets killed, right? So you have to hold above 325.50 for an upside continuation move. If you break below that, right, you're turning these levels back into rejections, and momentum likely dies off. So 325.50 is really the retest level I'd look for to see if it can retest this Friday pre-market high, right? And then this Thursday little intraday low. All right, guys. I hope you learned something from today's live stream. We'll go over that. We'll just leave this on the NASDAQ chart for now. You guys can see we are sort of pushing into that 13.1 supply. So this could get interesting today. We are pushing into that 13.1 supply, and we are pushing towards that 41.60. So big time watches, guys. Previous day highs. That is your watch today. Previous day highs. Very easy. Friday highs on the ES. Friday highs on the NASDAQ. And maybe if you want to play it safe today, maybe you push it up into that exact high, right? Maybe you chart out a line here at this exact high, right? This is 13,121. I definitely think, 13.1 is going to be a key level. So I would monitor that 13.1. I think that will be a key psych level here today. But you can see it did get above it a little bit on Friday. Right? You can see a little break and retest of 13.1. It did sort of squeeze a little bit, but it didn't really last very long. So a little bit tricky there. Maybe you just put a line here around this 13.120 and just be cautious of that as well. All right. So 13.1, 13.120, be careful of that Friday high there. But 13.1, I think, is really the main level to watch this morning, this 13.90 to 13.1. All right? Press that like button if you could. Damn, 600 likes. You guys are sleeping today. Let's wake up. Let's wake up. It's time to wake up, my friends. It's Monday morning. It's time to do some trading. If you guys could help me out with that like button, if you did enjoy today's live stream, before you head out, press that like button for me. Subscribe to the channel. Vicente, thank you for the $9.99 today. If you're still sticking around, I appreciate that donation. Yeah. Good luck today. Be smart. Watch out for earnings, right? Not much today on the earnings side, but please be cautious. Tomorrow morning, you have some big earnings. Definitely market moving. If you swing trade anything into tomorrow, you are exposing yourself to whatever the Monday or whatever the earnings plays do, right? This is pretty much like every single morning you wake up this week, you are exposing yourself if you have swing trades, right? You don't know which direction the market is going to move off of earnings. So just be cautious of that this week. If you walk away this week and I promise, right? I promise. This is something I can guarantee. I can guarantee this. If you end the week flat because you played it safe, you will be happier than if you were gambling into earnings, right? I guarantee that. If you walk away this week and you look forward to next week and you walk away with a small green week or maybe even flat, I can guarantee you will be happier than if you were gambling on earnings all week and you lost your portfolio, right? This is not the week to be stupid. This is not the week to be balls to the wall. This is not the week to try to hit a home run. This is a week to be cautious, understand the market's going to be volatile, protect your portfolios, understand that there's plenty more weeks in your future to trade better opportunities. That's really how you should approach this week, right? Most people will tell you this is the week to kill it. This is the week to, it's going to be wild. We're going to change our lives this week. This is earnings week, baby. No, right? That is the wrong way to approach the market. It's the way that gets people to watch. It's a way to people to join your Discord. It's a way to get people to join your services. Great, right? That's the way to do that. That is not the way to trade. That is not the way to be gambling. I can guarantee you that the market makers are going to make a shitload of money this week off of people buying options into earnings. So who do you want to be, right? It's up to you. I can only help you. You got to decide for yourself. Do you want to be the person that protects their portfolio, or do you want to be part of the group that gambles on earnings? It's up to you, right? It's up to you. All right, guys. Have a fantastic week. I'll see you tomorrow. Press that like button. Subscribe to the channel. Yeah. Peace out.